In the beginning, there was existence, but nothing else. Only being. And it was in this being that the goddess was driven mad. She willed so strongly to move that beneath her feet grew the earth, a sphere. At first a small ball that she ran on, like a hamster in a treadmill, like a fox upon the ice. But soon the ball grew, and she began to gain stride and grow faster. And soon she began to tire. She began to sweat, and thus the clouds were formed, and she took her first rest. And after this rest, she arose and once again ran, in an attempt to escape her own insanity, her own loneliness, the emptiness of existence, but nothing else. And the sphere beneath her feet continued to increase, and the clouds about her coalesced, and the weight of her feet upon the ground began to make small curvatures, divots that filled with her breath, filled with her sweat, and thus the oceans were formed and the continents were separated. And she ran harder before resting once more, and a cold settled upon the world. It was nothing to chill her skin, nothing to chill her bones, thus the oceans didn't freeze, but the lakes did, just so as the ice sticks upon the beard of any man outdoors. But yet again she rose, and she ran, for the earth was still empty, for there was nothing but the water, the sound of rain, the pouring, the wind, as she separated the air with each stride. And it was then that the breezes and the currents of the sky were created, and she rested once more. This time it was easier, though, for she went with the current, she ran with them, she crossed over the old divots, the oceans that were created, and thus the currents were formed. And as the matter moved and the molecules were swirled, heat was created and life arose from the depths. And from the depths came life. And the goddess noticed this, and she stopped and she rested to watch. But it wasn't aware, it didn't see, it didn't understand. It only knew that it was, but nothing else. It understood existence, but only that. And it was after a time that the goddess rose once more, and in her agony, in her fury, yet there was movement, there was life, but there was nothing she could share. So she tread upon the earth faster and faster and faster, whipping up cyclones, whipping up hurricanes and tornadoes, breaking the earth with great strides that we know as earthquakes. And as it was, when she stopped once more and the earth was in turmoil, fuming, roiling, and nearly all the creatures that she had seen were gone, there arose something that caught her eyes, something that was different, for it followed her. She noticed as she walked, for she didn't run this time, and the clouds cooled, the skies evened, the rain fell, and she saw that what followed behind her was humanity, something not quite like her, but what followed in her footsteps. And it was this that something was moved in God, a feeling that God hadn't known, for God hadn't known anything to know this feeling for. And that feeling was care. It was concern. For God looked down upon humanity and saw it following, saw it struggling, for it couldn't cross the oceans, it couldn't withstand the currents, the breezes, the divots in the oceans that were but a puddle, a skip, and a footprint for God. She strode over what humanity could barely comprehend. And that's when God knew and understood that she had to come back. And she had to relax and lay down and rest. And thus, that is what we have of life. It is the rest and the slow breathing of the goddess as she lays attempting to comprehend what we are and how closely we are to her.